everyone, happy new month and welcome to another educative and exciting episode. Let me quickly take you through what we are looking at today. The man who says he wanted to kill the president has been set free. We'll tell you all about that. Now, the cost of water and electricity is likely to go up again, and why voter turnout was really low at one of the most important elections in the country. Also coming up, the Pan-African Youth Orchestra wows at a concert. You are watching News Generation. My name is Ifwa Akwa Harrison. I have a co-host today. Let's meet her right after this. News Generation, supported by
Cowbell with Vitarid.
And you're welcome back. Now let's meet my co-host, Akesi.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
All right. Now, you know, people can always get in touch with us via social media. What's our Facebook handle?
Our Facebook is at News Generation.
News Generation GH. That's on Facebook. And then Twitter?
News Gen GH.
Yes. So on Twitter, we are News Gen GH, and then on Facebook, we are News Generation GH. So find us on there. Anyway, do you remember the young man who said he wanted to kill President Mahama and become president?
Yes, Charles Entry, is it?
That's right, Charles Entry. Well, an Accra High Court has cancelled the 10-year jail term that was given the man who went to President Mahama's church with a gun.
After his arrest at the Ringway Assemblies of God Church, Charles Entry told security agents that he had gone there to kill the president. He was arrested and charged with illegal possession of a weapon. Charles Entry was sentenced to 10 years in prison.
No, that is not possible. That can only happen if Mama is dead.
Mandela called prison by an Obama president.
After the sentence, many people felt Charles Entry was not fit to be tried because he was mentally ill. Human rights lawyer Francis Xavier Susu joined the director of the Mental Health Authority to have Mr. Entry's sentence cancelled. Following 2 weeks of hearing, the High Court overturned the verdict, adding that Charles Entry was wrongly convicted. The acting chief executive officer of the Mental Health Authority, Dr. Kwesi Osei, was happy with the decision of the court.
I'm excited, and I think it's victory for the rule of law. Victory for the rule of law in the sense that, and therefore also victory for democracy, in the sense that, yes, the law recognizes that we human beings can always make an error. And if an error is made, there is a mechanism, there is an institution to correct that error.
Human rights lawyer Francis Xavier Susu, who represented Charles Entry in court, described the court ruling as a big victory for the rule of law.
There were violations, there were abuses of the fundamental rights of a person with mental derangement, of a person with mental disability. So for a person of that nature to be in prison, 10 years prison sentence against all these fundamental breaches, that was a huge problem to the human rights front of Ghana. So for the Human Rights Court to have been bold enough to come out and make a ruling that settles the issue by way of quashing the irregularities, in the whole procedure.
Charles Entry is expected to be released from prison in the next few days. He would then be taken to a psychiatric hospital to receive treatment.
Meanwhile, the Attorney General's Department plans to file for an appeal to get Mr. Entry, who was not in court for the last hearing, tried again as soon as he recovers. Now, Akesi, I don't know if you've been following this particular story, but it's believed that Charles Entry is mentally ill.
Yes, it is.
What comes to mind when you think of mental illness?
Crazy people.
Crazy people.
Crazy
well, it's not as straightforward as that. We have a little explanation, but we will tell you about the explanation of mental illness right after we take a look at what else has been making headlines in local news. Let's start with some politics. I know, but this story is interesting. A member of the governing National Democratic Congress has picked forms to represent the party in the 2016 elections. This means he could be president if people support him and he's voted into power. His name is George Boateng, and he says President Mahama hasn't done enough for the country.
There's a lot of jobs that
ahead of the president. The president has never done it. We are social party and we are social democrat. Social democrat is for the poor, and Ghana is a poor country nation. We have majority of the poor Ghanaians are suffering.
Think he's got a chance? Let us know on our Facebook page. Residents of Ziope in the Volta region trooped to see President John Mahama and his aircraft when he visited the town over the weekend. The helicopter became the talk of the town as a large crowd of spectators ran to the field where it landed to catch a glimpse of the aircraft.
Today is a remarkable day in my life, so I don't want to miss the opportunity. I took a picture with the aircraft in the background. The picture will serve as an evidence for me when I go back to tell my folks back in the village I saw an aircraft. I will keep this picture very well and show it to my kids in the future.
Government pharmacists have suspended their strike for weeks. Pharmacists who work in government hospitals stopped selling drugs to the public. They're upset with issues about their salaries that have not been solved. Pharmacists now say something is being done about their salary problems, so they've called off the strike. In sports, substitute Bismarck Opong got off the bench to win the 2015 MTN FA Cup for Midiama SC. They beat Asante Kotoko to the cup title by 2-1. Okay, let's get you some entertainment news now. Popular Kumewood actress Rose Mensah, popularly known as Chewa, married over the weekend. But the actress's happiness might be short-lived as another woman, Florence Che, is claiming she has been married to the man Chewa just married for the past 20 years. And musical president Vice Osei Kufuor, also known as Obuo, has succumbed to peer pressure to work on his tummy. He has therefore set himself a 6-month deadline to lose his belly in a weight loss program. Wish him luck. Okay, so do you think Obuo can do it?
I think he can.
You think he can lose his tummy in 6 months?
He can.
Okay, our director Sarah is saying like her, she also can. I think she will be challenging Obuo on that one. But before we took a look at local news round, we were talking about mental health, and you were telling me what you think about when you think about the word mental illness.
Like
right?
crazy people in the street.
But it's a little bit more complicated than that. Let's listen to this short explanation. There are many mental illnesses, but mostly it refers to mental health conditions that affect your mood, your thoughts, and your behavior. Mental illness includes depression, that is feeling sad not sometimes, but almost all the time. Anxiety, feeling worried, nervous, or uneasy all of the time. Schizophrenia, being paranoid or behaving in a way that is not normal to society, having unrealistic thoughts. These are just a few examples. Depending on the kind of mental illness someone suffers, people will show it in different kinds of ways. Being very happy in one moment and very angry or sad in the next for no obvious reason. Withdrawing from society, that is wanting to be alone and not socialize with friends or family. Sometimes even body pains or addictions to harmful substances. But there is hope for people with mental illness. By getting psychiatric help, doctors can aid people overcome mental illness. So that's a little bit about mental illness. Casey, have you learned something? It doesn't mean you're crazy, you know.
Yes.
And so you've learned, what else have you learned about mental illness? What do you remember from that short explanation?
I remember that behaving in a way that is not normal to society means you have a mental illness.
Okay, what else? Depression
and
anxiety. Okay, so people get sad once in a while, but when it's all the time,
that's mental illness.
That's mental illness. But there's hope for people who have mental illness. You can get help at a hospital. That's why they are psychiatrists, okay? Yes. So that's concluding the whole thing with Charles Aintree. Now, tell us, what else has been making headlines over the week?
ECG has been increasing the the amount of electricity and water that we have to, pay.
Yes, so they've been talking about increasing the electricity and water bills, okay? So let's find out what you make of all of that. Here are your views on WhatsApp.
Very bad because it's not everyone who is rich that can pay, and then it was unexpected. They didn't think that would happen, and so they have to now get more money to be paying electricity bills, and it's very bad because we don't normally get lights, but nowadays I think it's a little bit okay, but for my area, but I don't know about other areas, but I think the government should do something about it, because we don't normally get lights.
Not all parents who can afford money to pay the electricity or water increasement. So I'm pleading on behalf of those who can't afford, so that the government can decrease the rate.
To me, when they increase the amount of water, it affects some people, but it doesn't affect some people, because some people, they don't get money to pay because they don't work. And some people, they get money to pay because they work a lot, and they will get more money to pay. But some people in our area like this, they don't work. A lot of them don't work. Some at the park, some roaming about and other things, so they don't have money to pay.
Some of us, maybe they don't have money to pay the money, but if they want to increase it, I think they should stop it so that Ghana will move on.
I think it's bad because already the economy is not good, and if they increase it, people will not get money to pay for the increment.
Okay, now your views on WhatsApp. When we come back, Akesi, do you know who the assemblyman for your area is?
Yes, Okuno.
Okuno?
Yes,
okay.
Okuno.
All right. Well, there was an election to vote people in to represent you at the district level. We'll tell you all about that after the break. Thanks for staying on News Generation. My name is Ifa. Remember, you can catch up with us on social media. It's facebook.com/newsgenerationgh. You can also find us on Twitter at newsgengh. Now, the district's assembly elections finally came off, but a lot of people seemed unconcerned. In many polling centers, less than half the number of registered voters showed up to vote.
Before the assembly elections took off, there were several problems in some areas, from the late start of the process to unavailability of polling materials. In many areas, the election took place, though not many people showed up to vote. There are many reasons for that, including the view that Assembly and Unit Committee members are not important. In many polling centers, less than half the number of people in the voters' register turned up to vote. District Assembly elections are when Assembly and Unit Committee members are voted for. Assembly members represent their communities in their various districts, metropolis, or municipal area. For instance, if you live in some part of Accra, the Assembly member of your area will represent your community whenever the Accra Metropolitan Assembly meets. They are responsible for the overall development of the areas under their assembly and contribute to the general management of the assembly. The district assembly elections are not political, meaning no one can stand on the ticket of any political party and no political party can support a candidate. This rule is important to allow different people to contribute to the process of managing their communities. During the assembly elections, voters also choose unit committee members who may represent the district, municipal or metropolitan assembly in enforcing laws, organizing voluntary work, especially in terms of sanitation in the local area. The Supreme Court cancelled the district assembly elections, which should have been held in March 2015, because an aspiring assemblyman challenged the process when he felt it was against the law.
Now I want some ice cream, Akisi.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes, it's a nice hot day for ice cream. President Kanye West, how does that one sound?
He is not going to win it. He is definitely not.
Okay, still to come, what's trending in the Pan-African Youth Orchestra put Deputy Minister of Tourism or got her dancing after this. Thanks for staying. Now on to what's trending. Mayor of Accra, Alfred Vanderpoy, visited some markets and asked traders to clear rubbish while he counted them down.
Mama sorry, Mama Papa, Mama Sisa, a beer welcome. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8.5, 9, 9.5, 9.5, close to 10, almost at 10, almost at 10. Thank you.
9.5, AKC.
Close to 10.
Well, that's about it for this edition of News Generation. My name is Ifwa Kwahars. I've been doing this with Akesi Moke,
yes.
Right? Now, if you watched the show last week, then you saw a feature on the Pan-African Youth Orchestra. Well, on Tuesday, the young men and women of the orchestra wowed Ghanaians, including the Deputy Minister of Tourism. And that's how Akesi and I will leave you on today's episode of News Generation. Thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, enjoy the rest of our programs and enjoy this video.
Supported by Cowbell with Vitarid.